Hi, you guys. Thanks for being patient with us. It's a whole lot of weirdness, as Sean said.
I hope this is not the new normal because this was weird.
This was weird. I'm actually on another computer because something started downloading on that computer and people weren't able to see my channel and everything was dark and there was all my videos missing, but I didn't have a strike. And so really not sure what's going on. Um, We're but we're here. We're not giving up. We are here with our loyal and true crew, and so thank you guys for joining us. Sean, thanks for sticking in there with me as I panic call you from multiple devices, trying to
No
figure
problem.
out what's going on. I'm still not sure. There was something
Me neither.
that
It was, yeah.
closed down, so you guys that tried to log in, I guess you got a notification, some of you, and then you went to my channel and there was no content. The screen was black. It looked normal from my end, so I could see everything. I didn't have anything different on my end. Then Sean and I tried to get things to work. I went ahead and went live just to kind of, hey, this is what's happening. I tried to share my screen a little bit. We decided to go ahead and delete that video because it looks like everything's working and back to normal. So I don't know if that was some glitch on which side. Then when I closed that out, I was running on the Brave browser and it closed everything. It actually shut down the entire browser when I shut down StreamYard and then popped something up called Terminal and has a little black square and said that I needed to connect my mic and my camera, and then started running a little box that looked like code and said something about, I don't know, I can't get it to turn off. So I've turned that computer off and it's setting aside, which I literally just bought that brand new computer. So I'm very upset about that. I don't know what's going on. If anybody knows anything about Terminal,
Terminal. Yeah.
it was making it sound like it was a browser because it was like you need to connect your microphone and your camera, and then it popped up like the permissions, and it showed like Chrome, Brave, Safari, Firefox, and it showed Terminal as an option, and it was this little black square with like a line and a more than sign or whatever. So if anybody knows anything about that, if you could let me know. I don't know anything about it. So it's sitting over there. Very weird things happening in the world lately. So
It seems like it's a. Was it a Mac?
it's a Mac. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. It's a thing with Macs. I don't know if you.
Really?
Yeah, I don't
I
even
thought
know Macs.
that was supposed to be like the safest thing.
No, file permissions using the terminal. So on like I have iPhones, but it's but I use all Microsoft, desktop stuff. Um, so yeah, you can. I mean, I just Googled terminal permissions browser and started bringing stuff up, but it's all Apple stuff. So, all right.
Never seen that before, and all I've ever used is Apple. So
Yeah.
very annoying. But thanks for everybody for hanging in there. Sorry about all the chaos. We're figuring it out as we go ahead.
Hey
I'm not
Phil.
ready.
Hey everybody. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people here. It's
I
good to
know
see.
I haven't seen Gazoo in a long time. So thanks for coming back and joining us. Tom, Stephen Tyrell, Phil C, Rick, Jim Montgomery, Trini, Jason Moore,
Hey Gazoo.
Magic. Yeah.
Good to see you.
I know
It's
Mom's
terrible Fred
listening. I
Flintstone.
think
That was
she's
terrible
driving
Fred
home.
Flintstone. But yeah,
That was a Fred Flintstone.
it was really bad.
In Public, Eternal Sunshine. And I think I got everybody in the chat so far.
Well, gosh, where do we start now that we're...
Okay,
I
so
feel tired, like we've been done the whole show.
I know. Don't be tired. We are in this fight. We're not ready to give up. It is time for us to all band together and get energy and strength from each other. There are some good things. Let's do something positive. Ron's here. He's ready for something positive. I sent you some good news today.
Crypto Nana is here. Hello.
Yes. Nana's been stocking
Tom.
up on wine. There was a big freeze in Brazil, so everybody needs to make sure they get all their coffee before the prices go sky high, or there is a lack of supply. Make sure you get all the coffee that you need. Good news, good news. Cuomo is stepping down. We only have 2 more weeks of that.
It's so weird, you know?
Bastard.
It's so odd. I think it was Lindell, which we'll probably talk about him.
Yep.
He was talking about how everyone's been conditioned. And people have been conditioned because it's very... Can you imagine if your neighbor went into 7-Eleven and then put his hand up the cashier's shirt, grabbed her boobs, and then left? And then there was a news conference where they talked about that the police, that the clerk had called the police, that arrest is on the table. It is not off the table. We could do that. But there's just the preliminary beginning parts of the investigation. And then your neighbor's like, yeah, I think I might step down. So I'm going to step down. And like, okay, well, that guy, he quit his job. Maybe that's the end of it. It's just weird how people are like, could accept that. I mean, this, and another thing, and I've talked about this for a year and a half now, and people are, everyone's guilty of doing this. You're guilty of this, Lisa. I'm guilty of this a little bit. Beatles is guilty of this. All of a sudden, Democrats became democratic. They're democratic lawmakers, which all lawmakers are democratic lawmakers. They're all democratically elected.
Right.
But they stopped using the word Democrat and they started using the word democratic in places where it does not belong.
I am terrible at this. My mother calls me out for this. Like the whole patron thing. The website is called Patreon, but the people that support my channel are actually patrons. And so this whole word salad thing is a lot of the way that they do manipulate us. And so to your point, I agree. I concur. I am guilty as well.
Well, they keep saying that he sexually harassed these women. And he didn't.
They'll say he sexually harassed. Well, and that's when they say they molested a child. No, they're raping children.
Or, well, no, because he's
doing
different.
more than sexually harassing.
He was sexually assaulting them. There's a big difference.
Right.
Sexually harassing them is like, hey baby, maybe.
Right.
No, I think even if like slapping their butt, but like maybe brushing up against them, I guess you could say that's not assault. That's harassing. Harassing is bothering. When you touch a woman, her boob or butt, or her hoo-hoo, that's assault. If you go under their clothes, that's serious assault. That's like the difference between slapping someone and punching them in the face. They're both assault, but one's worse. So when he put his hand under, like, if my daughter went into the police and said, this guy put his hand up my shirt and grabbed my boob while I was, a waitress, and the police were like, hey, we'll look into that.
Yeah.
It wouldn't happen. And the fact that people accept it, it's just conditioning. Like, it's like, that's acceptable. It's not acceptable. It wouldn't be acceptable for anyone else. And if it's not acceptable for anyone else, then it's just not acceptable. He's not above the law. He's just a U.S. citizen. It doesn't matter how much money.
It goes back to the whole, rules for thee and not for me kind of things that we're seeing with, Obama's party and the rest of these, that they don't have, the rules don't apply to them. And we've seen it all through the great infection, you know, fancy Nancy going and getting her hair done in the salon while the rest of us were, you know, locked in our
When
home.
you bring that up, that was probably the first time, and I've been talking about this, how their behavior is just textbook abuser behavior, where they
Mhm.
flip it on you and you're the problem. And yeah, I
Well,
cheated on you.
what
It's
about
your
that
fault.
Corey Bush? Literally, she's like, "Yeah,
Corey, that's a new psych.
I'm gonna have $200,000 private
And it's
security,
worth it because
and
my
you better."
body. It was that woman is nuts, and that was nuts.
She's
But
completely
Nancy,
nuts. But and we're gonna defund the police,
when she
and
got
I'm gonna
caught,
have
and she
private
flipped it and
security.
said, "Hey, that woman, she set me up to do that." Like,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter.
Yep.
That's called a sting, fine. But if you get arrested by an undercover policeman, you're like, "Hey, that guy was, sold me drugs," or it's like, yeah,
Mhm.
it's a sting. You did something wrong, and that was the beginning of that flip, where they say, like, you're the problem. It was your fault.
Isn't that gaslighting? Isn't that typical
Yeah,
gaslighting? I
that's
mean,
that's
this is that abusive, it's the same thing as an abusive relationship. Our
yeah.
government, these leaders are the same. If you look at an abusive relationship, um, it's the same. It's just
It
textbook
is, but it's so
relationship.
transparent now. Like when I told you, when I watched
Mhm.
Fauci, and it was like, hey, you said that you didn't do this and you lied, and he
Yeah.
literally is like, you lied.
Hmm.
I'm so offended. You don't know anything,
Right.
and you could see the confusion. He was like, well, what do you?
Well,
I'm a doctor.
the situation I have right now with the school, you know, they put this COVID testing center in my son's elementary school, and I was just telling you about, and literally I'm going through, he refused to answer the questions via email, and he told me because people copy and paste. And I was like, well, at least you're being honest with me. And so he said he would meet me there or have a phone call. So I agreed to have a phone call. And then I went through my questions, and I asked, you know, what the plan was for a fire, what the plan is for a tornado. And then I responded to him. I said, just to clarify, this is, oh, I want to, you know, go back through my questions. And it's my understanding that your position is if there's a tornado, the sick people in the COVID clinic are to um, shelter in place with the children in the tornado shelters in the building. And his response to me after our phone call was that he respected my concerns, but they just weren't based in fact. I'm like, I'm literally, those are the facts. You're telling me that the fact is if there's a tornado, the sick people are going in the tornado shelter with my children. But I'm not, my concerns aren't based in fact. And that's where they're trying to flip it and, you know, on you, you know.
Yeah,
And he's telling me I'm using big words like air quality, air testing. I'm not sure what the big word was
big
there, but
words.
yeah, I'm using big words.
When I was a
So,
financial advisor, I would use a sales tactic I always called the Columbo tactic, and Tucker Carlson uses this. You just act confused when they say your concerns aren't based in fact. Well, what do you mean they're not based in fact? I don't understand what you're saying. They're not based in fact. What? How are they not based? What? And
mhm.
then they start, and they just let them explain, because when liars have to keep talking, they hang themselves every time. You just keep them talking. Don't
It's
let them
just
flip it on you. Don't let them have you defending yourself. Just ask them questions. As long as they're talking, they'll talk themselves uh, right into the fire.
well, it's just insane. And I think also the desensitization, like your point of them changing these words and calling it sexual harassment
Yeah,
allegations instead of assault, which
which
really is what
there
it
was
is.
years and years of sexual harassment. There was a workplace environment
Mm,
that was harassment. But once you get physical, that's assault.
mhm.
That's a crime, and it's a big crime. I mean, if he walked into a restaurant or anywhere and just decked somebody, it's the same level of crime. It's actually worse. Um, so you would expect him to be arrested. It's like if he was caught drunk driving, you'd expect him to be arrested. They
Yeah.
wouldn't let him drive home and then say, well, arrest is on the table. It's not off the table, but we're doing an investigation.
Well,
I mean, a charge has been made of a serious crime, and you're having press conferences and talking about what might happen. It, it reminds me of the Prince. Literally, do you see any difference?
well, she did file charges finally. Are you talking about Prince Andrew?
Yeah.
So,
No, she didn't. She's suing him. That's a civil matter.
oh, you're right. She is suing him, not filing charges.
Yeah. So, I
You're
mean,
right. You're right.
they want to question him. There's
Hmm.
no warrant issued. They got pictures. He said that he never met her. They've caught him lying. If he was just an average guy, I mean, not to talk, white privilege or any of that. If he was a white guy, a black guy, he was a
Hmm.
poor guy in America, and a woman came forth and said, that guy raped me. And
Hmm.
then you're asked, hey, I've never met that woman. I know nothing about it. She's a liar. Well, here's a bunch of pictures with you with her. Oh, you've been caught, lying 10 times on this. The
Right.
investigator finds this out in 10 minutes. You're going to prison. You're done. That's more than enough evidence. The officer's going to get called to the stand. He told me he never met her. That was a lie. He lied to me when I questioned him. He said he didn't know this guy, and then we found out he lived with this guy. That's it. You're going to prison. A jury's going to convict you, and he's not even being arrested. There's not even a warrant.
Well, it's insane to me for sure. Okay, that was supposed to be the positive news. Hold on. I have one more that's better. This is actually so this has finally made it to the Texas Supreme Court. So we know there was a lower judge that um, Abbott was going to try to arrest these Democrats who had fled and weren't going to do their duty. This Texas Supreme Court has said that they are going to allow for the arrest of the Democrats that did not show up for the legislature. So I guess they're actually
What is
gonna
what does that mean though?
get
Because they were
arrested.
always able to force them to work, which actually sounds really weird. Um, but they have to come to Texas because there's no jurisdiction outside of Texas. So whenever they come back, the sergeant at arms can take them
I
and
think he can
physically
go get them, can't he?
no,
Or does they have to wait till they come back?
yeah, whenever they come back, then but he always had and this is what I don't understand. The governor said that he had the power to basically get them on the tarmac, take them to the Capitol building, and keep them there until they do their job. To me, that sounds like
That
false
doesn't
imprisonment.
seem really yeah,
Yeah,
that doesn't
like I'm
seem
sure that he
really
could take them to work, but
okay.
force them to stay there till they do their job seems weird. Like I don't see how that's legal. If they don't head to
Yeah,
Austin for a
the
quorum. So,
Supreme
but I don't know. I don't know.
I look forward to the Supreme Court upholding the rule of law and stopping another stall tactics by the Democrats. Let's see. Lawmakers would be going to jail. They would be going to the House chambers where they would be basically forcing a quorum, said State Representative Ron Reynolds. They would take us against our will to the House floor. Texas legislature needs at least 51 Democratic lawmakers to return to Texas to establish a quorum, a move many Democrats are still flatly rejecting. We will continue to fight against Republican voter suppression bills, planning on staying in D.C. Let's see. Reynolds has become a leading figure, blah, blah. Texas lawmaker who was arrested last week while protesting the U.S. Senate said the state lawmakers are relying on federal reform to bar restrictive, blah, blah. It's not talking about how it's going to happen. 25 Texas Democrats have remained in Washington, while at least 4 lawmakers have returned to Austin. Okay. The lawmakers could all face arrest if they return from their month-long hiatus. So it really doesn't say how it's going to happen. It just says
It's
that
not
they
really
could.
an arrest because you're not. They don't. It's not an arrest. They don't get
But it
arrested.
voids it voided the district judge's temporary restraining order that blocked the threat of arrest. This led the state last month.
I don't know. I mean, they were hired to do a job, and that's the thing. First off, words to stop using is democratic for Democrat and elected official. No officials. They're servants. Public servants. They're servants.
I like that.
If they and that's what they want. They want power. They want title. We don't have titles. This is America. There's no dukes. There's no counts. They're servants. They're not officials. We really, I think, like Lindell said, it's all part of the programming. And I remember it just clear as day. All of a sudden, during the campaign, it went from Democrat to Democratic, and everyone started using this word.
So, do you know the legal difference of the word?
Well,
Because I'm
Democratic
sure there's
is a process. It's a process of using a democracy, of the democratic process, and a Democrat is just a political party. So it's like we're part of a democracy. Okay, to call Democrats democratic lawmakers, Republicans are democratic lawmakers. They were elected democratically, and they're lawmakers. They're democratic lawmakers. So it's not, they're Democrat lawmakers. They're not democratic lawmakers. Everyone
do you
is a
think
Democrat.
that's the motivation, is that they're trying to kind of claim or
But when you say something is some way, then the antithesis of that is the opposite. So if these are Democratic lawmakers, then what are the other ones? What are Republicans? If they're not Democratic lawmakers, I think it's all psychological.
yeah,
I think it's all conditioning. I think it's
thinking.
all messing with your head. Because I remember it was all of a sudden, like all of a sudden Hillary Clinton was Hillary Rodham Clinton. It was just an instant, all of a sudden, that's it. Now I'm this. I don't know. It's just it seemed very weird to me when it happened, and now hearing him talk about it, people are, and I'm sorry to say, but people are very stupid, and they're just easily programmed. We went to we went to Comic-Con this weekend, and there were like 10,000 people, and nobody had a mask on. Maybe 5% of the people there had masks on. My kids, double masks. Mask. Everyone's weird. Everyone's stupid. But they're totally in fear, and there's nothing I can say or do. There's no super COVID outbreak. There's nothing happening that's nuts down here. All the Hollywood stars that were there were like, "This is crazy. I can't believe that this is the way it is." If we were in California, these people would be arrested. Nothing on the news. Nothing talks about, and it was, insane. So people are programmed no matter what, and then you can see in their eyes when you really talk, when you talk to someone and you're like, here's proof, they just
Mhm.
glaze over and they're like, yeah, no, what? Like, it
They
doesn't
don't
matter.
wanna hear it. Yeah.
Here's
Yeah.
a box of
Mhm.
masks. And what does it say
Read
on the
the
side?
box. Yeah.
This does not work. This does not
Yeah.
stop the spread of any virus.
No, I have
Um,
a friend that didn't admit to me that she took the first jab, was having some mental issues, was very disturbed about it. And then recently I invited her for dinner and she's like, "Oh, I can't. I've been in bed all day because I took the second jab." And I'm like, her daughter had medical issues from taking it. And she literally told me not too long ago, like, "Oh, I just don't watch the news anymore." But she took these jabs so that she can take a trip
yeah, that's a lot of
to
people. They're
another
they're
country. And
they're
I'm like,
giving in
"But
for
you
that.
turn the TV off so that you don't know what's happening in the world, and then you stick yourself with things that you don't want to do the research on so that you can travel the world." Like, and you're telling me you're already having health concerns. I can't even wrap my brain around that they literally don't want to know.
Yeah,
At that point, I
I've
don't have a
learned.
lot of compassion for you at
I've
that point.
learned
I'm sorry.
you've got to be stupid. You've got to just bring it down to a moronic level, and then people are like, "Oh, so hey,
They
man,
don't want to know though.
hey,
Yeah,
how about
it
this? Do you
doesn't
think
matter
if you
how
wear
dumb it is.
if
They
you wear if
literally
you wear if
don't
you
want to hear
wear
it.
a mask that's like half an inch thick, and you wear another mask on top of that or under that, that's like a thin mask. You got that much masks. You think it's going to stop the virus? I'm like, do you think what do you think's bigger? What do you think's bigger, a virus molecule or some shit? Like, what are you talking about? Which one do you think? They're like, a virus molecule. All right, I can fart, and you're going to breathe that in, and what you smell are particles of shit that came from my
Mhm.
asshole. If they can get through thick pair of sweatpants and underwear,
Mhm.
do you think that a virus can get through a mask? And they're like, uh,
I
you know,
just can't
then they
help
glaze
it.
over.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me why the box says this? They're like,
Mhm.
man, you're just whatever. No, no, no,
And
no. Can you
the
explain why the
information's
box says
out
this?
there. Yeah. The
So,
information's out there. They just don't want to know, and that's fine. Everyone's made their choice, you know.
yeah, that's why I said,
And that's the thing, like, okay, then I don't, if they want, then I guess that's true freedom. If you want to make that choice, that's fine, but then respect that I'm making my choice.
yeah,
Everybody's free to make their choices. Then that's true freedom. We can go along with that decision, but then don't if you don't want me to put my choice on you, that's fine. But let's be honest with what information is out there. Let's not pretend like that information isn't out there. That's the problem I have with all that. So,
if you eat an onion and then blow on someone through a mask, they're gonna smell onion. I
right.
mean, that's getting through.
Yeah.
So JDO said, "Smell me from
Oh,
here." Well, if I farted, you probably would, man.
no bathroom humor. I hate all that stuff. Okay. Okay, let's touch on this cuz do I have all my links though? I don't think, cuz I'm on the wrong computer now. I sent them to you though in Twitter so I can find them.
Yeah,
So we want to touch on this because we don't want to beat the dead horse. But um this there is you know me, the queen of hopium. So I once again, you can shoot me down, but I'm going to look for the good news in this. The senators joined Democrats to pass the 1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. They did not get the amended thing passed, right?
correct. They did not. It is terrible for crypto. It is very bad.
No, no, it's not. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Let
Okay.
me tell you why. So, crypto people, this is a great lesson about our constitutional, our progress or our how a bill becomes a law in our government. Let me show you this. This is good stuff. So, the process of how a bill becomes a law, and I'm not going to bore you guys to tears with all of it, but there's 9 steps. We won't go through all of it. Bill's drafted, the bill's
We should sing
introduced.
that song from the Saturday morning cartoons.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm
I'm
a
just a
bill.
bill on Capitol
Oh,
Hill. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, bill goes to committee, subcommittees, committees mark up the bill. Lots of people, I'm sure, do lots of things. Voting by the full chamber, referral of the bill to the other chamber. Bill. Okay, wait. So voting of the bill by the full chamber. Okay, so this is where it goes to the floor. So this is where it goes to the Senate. And so right now, the Senate has voted on this bill, and we know the amendment didn't go through. So then the referral of the bill goes to the other chamber. It has to go to the House. And when it goes to the House, it says that, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I have to read the whole thing. But there's good news in this, so hold on. When the House or Senate passes a bill, it's referred to the other chamber, where it usually follows the same route through committees and finally to the floor. This chamber may approve the bill as it's received, reject it, ignore it, or change it. Congress may form a conference committee to resolve or reconcile the differences between the House and the Senate versions of a bill. If the conference committee is unable to reach an agreement, the bill dies. If an agreement is reached, the committee members prepare a conference report with recommendations for the final bill. Both the House and the Senate must vote to approve the conference report. So they either have to agree on the same bill. So either they're going to have to, they can change it, they can put the new amendment in it, and or they basically have to agree on the same thing. There are a bunch of people in the House that are not going to agree on this without that amendment, and or so they're either going to have to change it, put the amendment in it, or it's just going to die in the House, and it's never going to become a law and never going to go to the president.
It's looking like it's going to go right through real quick.
I don't think so.
That's what everyone's.
There's a bunch of people in the House that will not let it go through.
I'm hoping that we all make a big stink.
And you know what? In worst case scenario, if it does, then maybe it'll wake up a bunch of Americans and say, you know what? Those people making those laws are not making them for us, and we're done with this system.
I don't see, and I don't know. Okay, I don't believe it's going to happen because I don't know how much worse it could be. We just gave like a bunch of examples.
You don't believe what's going to happen?
Governor of New York. The governor of New York sexually assaulted women for years. It's come out. It's obvious. It's and everyone. It's not so many examples. It's just day in and day out. There's a catchphrase, rules for thee and not for me. It's not. I don't see anything happening until there's some leader, till someone says what we're all scared to say. To where we're all ready to go.
Sorry.
I think so many people are just ready to go. Like, let's get it over with. We'll get it done. And but there's no one that's like, all right, let's do it. It's going to be bad. It's going to be terrible. Let's do it. I think people are waiting for that. I know I am. But I think I don't see people waking up. I think people are awake. People are asleep. And if the people that are awake don't do anything, then nothing's going to change. I think we need some spark, some person, something to make the people that are awake take care of business and fix it. But that's how I feel. We got people over in Europe. Europe is doing. Europeans are more American than Americans now. They're out there physically fighting. They're out there putting their lives up and saying this isn't okay. change it or else. And Americans are whining and making memes and, you know,
And waiting for somebody else to fight the fight. I agree. I
yeah.
mean, I think
And
that's
and and,
fantastic.
and I feel, I feel bad because I've come down on the meme thing, and memes are the new way to fight it, but they're not scared of memes. They're not, because they get old.
Well, I think
That's
that's like Uncle Cliff saying this is an information war, and I think that's where people are doing the things that they can. I mean, I'm making my list. I'm calling that guy. I'm calling my, the Oklahoma Institute of Advocates for Children. I'm calling my local news stations. I'm calling my, fellow parents. I'm probably making signs and going up there to the school. I'm pulling my kid out. I mean, I think everybody's got to do what they can do in in your neighborhood, at your school, at your, there's a, in my area, there's a parents group that they have some resources. And I know if you guys are looking for resources, you can go to Operation Sunlight. Um,
hmm
.com, and Beatles has a resource page where he's trying to get people connected that want to help in their areas, and you can get connected with your precinct, and they're getting people together, like, instead of it being like all these little groups that
it's more on a
we've got to
local
work
level.
together. We've got to stop thinking that, well, I've got this idea to do this. Like, who's in your area, and let's work together. And I think
But
that's one thing, like, America is so big that we kind of get lost. Instead of, in Europe, there's these pubs. Everybody goes down and drinks a pint at the end of the day or
yeah,
whatever
it is.
and
It is
talks about
very,
things,
very different.
community driven.
It's very,
Yeah.
very community. But there's like Operation Sunlight. There's Eamon Bundy's doing something, and it's more what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
On the local level.
Yeah.
But if you get pulled over, or if those people come to your house that came to
Yeah.
your friend's house and my friend's house, and asked about my friends who were in the pictures, you send out a message to this local network, and like 10 people show up at where you're pulled over. 10 people come to your house. What's going on?
And who's that through?
That's Eamon Bundy. Rice knows all about it. Rice talked about it. It's some simple thing like freedomorganization.net or something.
Oh,
But
okay.
but I have to look it up. But that's more getting physical, getting on boots on the ground, local.
Hmm.
It's creating that network to watch the watchers, for people to show up. Did you see that video of the police in Canada?
Yes.
The cop just throws a dude just standing there, just bam. And there's like
I saw
10
one where
cops.
they were like beating up two old ladies.
Well, this one, they just threw this dude in the ground. He's just standing there, and then throws him down on the ground. Not throw, but like pushed him down, like, bitch. And this guy's like, it's really, really Canadian guy's like, oh no, I got you now. I got you on the video. Oh yeah. And then like all the cops just turn. It was like in the Lion King when all the lionesses turned. It's like they were predators, dude. They turned and saw the dude with the camera. They're like, hey, come here. Hey, I want to talk to you, buddy.
Oh,
And he was
wow.
like running backwards. No, you don't. No, you don't. Like, no, come here. Let's have a word. So it's so bad in Canada. It's weird that Mexico is so much more a beacon of freedom than Canada is now. The president comes out and says free Assange. Um,
Yeah.
and the things that they're doing there are much more pro liberty than Canada is. It's
I don't know. I have a friend that's in, Chris Marcus from Arcadia Economics, and he's in, Playa something, or Puerto Vallarta, I think. I don't know, somewhere in Mexico. And he said he cannot walk on the boardwalk without a mask on. And he said, and they're serious around there. Like, their police walk around with AKs.
Puerto
And
Vallarta.
yeah, and he said that you have to have a mask on in Mexico. I was like,
But then
what is
you hear
going
like
on?
Berwick. Berwick is like, yeah, we'll slap the cops around.
Oh,
It's
yeah, I'm
I think
sure
I
he
think
won't.
when it comes to Mexico, it's very local. It's very
Maybe so.
very
It
local.
probably depends on like what town or
Yeah, especially tourist areas.
yeah.
Like tourist areas, the government has like probably the most control.
Probably so. Oh, this world. What a world,
Yeah,
what a world.
and in Canada there was actually good news, um,
Well,
which they
good. I'm
was
trying to
not
bring all this good news. You're
which is
shooting me
not going to get
down.
reported on. But like
Okay.
a lot of the some of the big cities, the police chiefs were coming forward and saying, "We're not going to enforce these laws. These are terrible. These are draconian. These are
Were they
I don't even know.
police
I don't
or
even know
were
if
they
it has a
sheriff?
constitution. I don't even know if Canada has a constitution. I know that in England, I remember it's like a year or so ago when hey Alex, when Boris he he postponed a vote. It was during Brexit for after the Queen gave a. First, you have to ask for permission for this, which
Hmm.
proves she's really in control. But after the Queen's speech, and I was watching this on TV, and this someone said this goes against our unwritten Constitution, and I was like, that's funny. And then, but then someone else said it. But then a politician said it. This absolutely goes against our unwritten Constitution. And then one of the newscasters, like, yes, this is totally against our unwritten Constitution. And I was like, they're serious. They think an unwritten Constitution is the thing. That's what makes it a Constitution, that it's written down. If it's not, it's just hearsay or talk.
I've
It's
never
not a
heard that.
Constitution. But they really, that's like that. I think it goes back to that
Well,
program. I didn't think of it at the time.
would that be the Magna Carta? Is that what they're talking about?
No,
Or
they're talking about like an unwritten rule that
literally
you
they're
don't,
saying
yeah,
they're
an unwritten constitution that they have certain things that are not acceptable, that are illegal to do, but they're not illegal because it's not a constitution. They really believe it. And then I have a friend that's a cop over there. He's like a super cop. He's a like nationally recognized for stuff that he's done. And they're like, oh, absolutely, yeah, yeah, it goes against the unwritten constitution, man. He's actually didn't talk that way. He's very cockney, but
well, it's like the emperor's new clothes, though, or whatever, or like think about how they train an elephant as a baby. They put that chain on
yeah,
when they're a baby, and then as they
yep,
grow up, all they have to do is tie a rope, and the elephant won't move because
mm-hmm.
they can't. And so these indoctrination camps, this the unwritten constitution, there's really not one there, but people have been told this for
that
so long
they put faith in it.
that and it really
Yeah,
doesn't even exist. Wow.
yeah,
That's incredible.
it's
I
not
had
even
no
a thing.
idea.
It's not a real thing. It's like
Wow.
this goes against what the fairies tell us. You know, the fairies they won't let this happen. Like, bro, there's no fairies. I beg to differ. There are fairies. You know, no, there's no fairies. There's no
Mhm.
constitution. It's not written. It's not a constitution.
I had no idea.
But it is weird. Like I was talk to this guy, and he made a post because he was mad at some politician, and he's like, "Last I checked, there's only one person who's above the law, and that's the Queen. So by God, this guy." And I was like, "Dude, it's weird to hear someone say that." And that Martini guy, he said during the first election when Trump won, he was talking about how insane it was that every American's vote is the same. He was like, in America, every citizen's vote counts the same as every other one. That's insane. And he's a friend of mine. He's like an intelligent person. To hear an intelligent person say that and really believe it, it boggles my mind.
So it's not like that in the UK?
No, it's different. And now
Oh, I
we're
didn't
starting
know.
to move towards that, towards their system, which I don't know. There's pros and cons of it. Like they did it in I think New York this last time, where yeah, they did it in New York for the primary, where you pick like this is my first choice, this is my second choice, this is my third choice, this is my fourth choice.
I
So
did
that
not know that.
yeah, so if you like if this person got the most votes for the first choice, then they get it. But then if it goes to the second choice, like 90% of the people went for this person as their second choice, then they could win it. I don't know. It's a little confusing, but it does kind of.
So back like a long, long time ago in the United States, that's how they used to choose the vice president, was that the president got the most
Mhm.
votes and the vice president was who got the second most votes. So they actually probably didn't even really like each other. They were people running
Mhm.
against each other. So it was like the first choice and the second choice. It wasn't like, oh, well, the person who won got to choose their running mate. Um,
Well, in
so that
Texas, we've
was
had it's been usually the governor and lieutenant governors are different parties
mm,
for for a long time. Um, Rick makes the comment about human rights. I don't know if you guys know this, but every police officer in the United States is technically guilty of war crimes. Um, Maybe
what?
not guilty now, but a lot of them are. It's a war crime to use electricity to subdue or cajole anyone. So every police officer that ever used a taser is guilty of war crimes under the UN rules. That's just a
Interesting.
fact. Um, that's why they're not really used in Europe that much, but they're starting to be because they're
My
but
mom knows something about this. I don't know if I'm allowed to say some of that information, but
yeah, I'm in Texas. There,
I'll
Mister
let her
Sir.
tell me that stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I always thought that was insane. It's blatant. You can't use electricity for anything. Yeah, I mean it's supposed to be for torture, but you can't control anyone with electricity, and that's exactly what a taser is. Um,
Hmm.
and sound waves, control crowds. Yeah, that's a whole different like rabbit hole there. Dig or Digiverse. That's a whole different.
Speaking of war crimes, I don't know if you saw the we know the cyber symposium is going on today.
Hmm.
If you guys haven't seen that, there's several different links that you can find it on. I've got it posted several times on Twitter. I've got it posted on my Patreon.
Have you been
Um,
watching it?
I, Off and on in between calling multiple
See,
people and
this is the stuff
emailing
that
like
gets me
crazy
down.
today.
This is the stuff that depresses me.
Hmm.
Um, because I watched it and he's like, we did this, we checked this, and here are the real results of the election. Trump wins Minnesota by 100,000. North Dakota or South Dakota, it was like he had twice as many. Like there was
Hmm.
300,000 and he had 150,000 more. Um, but like, where do you go from here? And Beatles is posting all this stuff. It's like, look at this proof. Look at this proof. Look what this person's guilty of. Look at this. And I'm like, okay, that's terrible. So now what happens? Where do we go? Is this it? Are we moving forward?
Well, did you see the Brazilian guy speak?
No.
Because their election was stolen as well, along with many other countries. This is a global problem, and so they're talking about how we need to come back to paper ballots. I think it's India is one of the most secure um, votes, and they literally dye people's fingers. They have this blue ink, and so like you can't kind of like what Bitcoin does. You can't double
Mm-mm.
spend, you can't double vote because if you walk back in, your finger is so dark blue for at least 24 hours or however long the voting is that people
I
are like,
understand that, and that's
no,
all.
your
But that's
finger's
that's
still blue.
that's getting back to the Cuomo thing. everyone talks about, here's this happened. We need
Yeah.
to do this in the future, and we need to fix this here. What about what happened? If this happened, that needs to be dealt with. People need to go to
Right,
prison.
right.
This
We can't go forward. This isn't about fixing 2024. We need to have the military needs to get involved. We need to stop. They need to be in control. There's actually in the McCarthy Act, there is a method of what and steps that we should take and what should happen. And we need to hold another vote with
now,
paper.
what people aren't talking about, well, not being talked about in the press, is that Texas is trying to lead that. We need 38 states um, to do that, but we're working towards that. Uh, I don't know. I don't think these people are going to relinquish power. But I've said this a million times. Everyone says those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. But
Mhm.
everybody says, yeah, this happened, and then they repeat history. And at no time in history have things gotten this bad where it didn't
Right,
end very badly. And I've said the one thing that gives me hope is what? Cryptocurrency.
right.
And with this bill, they are trying to hamstring it.
But this bill, but this bill is part of the old system, and cryptocurrency is the new system. And this old system has to die completely. And cryptocurrency may not be any part of that old system. And we may have to let go of that whole old system. Like, there may not be any way to bring that with us into the future. We may have to put those old things away and let them die. And that gives me chills. And we may have to look ahead and choose the future to move. May be really rough going forward, but we may have to let it die and move forward into the future.
I think
This is
we are.
not about saving the past. This is about choosing the future.
And I posted something the other day. I'm like, I'm really done. I want to have this over with. And when history is written, it'll be written on the blockchain. And it can't be changed. No matter, who the victor is a year from now or 5 years from now, or if things get flipped 10 years from now, you can't ever change the true history. It's immutable. So hopefully people will be able to learn from it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is it, though. I think that is the future. I mean, I think that's why they were trying so hard. Um, Wendy was really, she did a great job. She had an attorney on Peter this weekend talking about what this whole infrastructure bill was and, some of the crazy stuff they had in it, like, the retinal scanners and the face recognition in cars and more transgender study crap in it and whatever. And then the crypto amendments they were trying to push through and whatever. And she's like, I do not understand. Like, it is Sunday night. They are trying so hard to push this thing through. What is this? And I was like, girl, this has less to do about this infrastructure bill and more to do with this ticking time bomb of the US dollar that they know is dying. This is 2008 all over again. And they are trying to burn the lifeboats. They are scared to death. They know that the US dollar is dead. They are trying to burn the lifeboats down. This time we have a way out. The people have a way out. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it's all about. And I think that this is
I do
Bitcoin
too.
people's way
It's
out.
like with when you know the the sickness hit and they started just throwing money out there,
Yeah.
and it was really about giving big paydays to their friends. That's why
Yeah.
every bill is like 5% to you and
Hmm.
95% to my buddies.
Right.
Um, it's because it's going to collapse, and then they have a scapegoat. They're like, we may not have a scapegoat 8 years from now, 5 years from now. It's gonna go down. So if we bring it down, at least we have an excuse. And because that was one of the times when people did get out the pitchforks and they went after the banks.
Right.
It was during the Great Depression. Um, they called them out, and they were brilliant, man. The banks were brilliant. They came out and they just used reverse psychology.
Mhm.
That was the time when you realized how stupid people were. They just came out and did the rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, and they flipped it and came out and said, "Man, we sure don't want you guys to vote this in. We would hate that." And they're like, "Let's do it. Let's vote for that. They hate it," and it's what they wanted.
Mhm.
And they got everything they wanted just by saying they didn't want it. Um, because people were genuinely completely done with him. They're like, "Yeah, you're a banker, whatever. We don't no, no,
Well,
no." But this time, we're no, 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 no more. You're done.
yeah.
So
Well, last Wednesday, I did a Woo Woo Wednesday, and I was really amped up, and there are a lot of things syncing up timing wise. I sent Uncle Cliff the article that I found about the most the largest war games effort
mhm,
in the last 40 years. He shared that with Jean Claude. They did a whole show about it. And that ends on the 16th of August, I believe. And we're coming up on Nixon's. Uh, Chris Marcus had sent me information, and he's really feeling strongly that there's going to be some kind of incident. He doesn't know what, but feeling really strongly about something is going to happen around the anniversary of the Nixon 50th anniversary of the Nixon gold window, which would be the August 15th, this upcoming weekend. And so we also know that we're coming up on, let's see, where's my little, um, FEMA is going to be doing their test tomorrow, so everybody doesn't panic. You're going to be getting a test. It starts around 2:20 Eastern. They're going to be doing an emergency alert system on your cell phones, so those will be starting to roll out. You'll be getting test messages on your cell phones. I don't know if that's to make sure everybody's cell phone works so that then they know that there's going to be some outages possibly coming up this next weekend. But just be prepared just in case. But this whole thing is coming down. And, if you're in the chat and watching this, you're probably as prepared as you can be. But I think that is what all of this is about.
I think also part of the big hate the boomers. The dissension and division is because when it comes down, they don't want people, especially young people, to look at the architects of the destruction. Um, you want your $15 an hour, you want your $20 an hour minimum wage. Here you go. They're like,
Right.
wait a minute, we still can't afford to live because you've raised the prices on everything with inflation by printing up lots of money. No, 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 no. It's those boomers. You can't afford a house because of those boomers, man. It's not because your money's worth nothing because we keep printing it. It's the boomers. They had it easy. It's a. I mean, it's programming. It's by design. But people are going to get that, $20 an hour minimum wage, and then they're going to be so, that victory is going to just taste like dust because you can already see everything's going up in price. It's going to be worth less than $8 an hour is worth now, and that's when hopefully everyone 35 and below will get it. It's like, oh, they really don't care. They're not looking out for us.
Yeah, they definitely are not looking out for them. But hopefully, as we go through this transition, I think we've all been doing as much as we can, and we're doing more. You're gonna try to be in Kansas City. I'm not committing you to it, but I'm hoping you're gonna go to Kansas City, and hopefully everybody else will meet us there. I don't know if since I'm on this other computer, if the time and yeah, it did transfer over. Okay. So we've got I've got the date and the location there. We're going to be doing our happy hour roadshow. We've got oh, I don't have all this stuff pulled up. So Monarch Wallet is one of our sponsors. We've got Change Angels sponsoring us. We're going to be doing Litecoin giveaways, and we're doing our crypto class on Saturday, downloading Monarch wallets and sending Monarch token. We've also got opportunities. We're going to be teaching people about how they can connect with Gus and Will at Perpetual Assets to do a crypto IRA, and giving them information about that, as well as buying precious metals and cryptos over the counter with them. So lots of great opportunities. We hope everybody will join us there. So we'll do a fun happy hour roadshow live streaming from the old Chicago there in Olathe, Kansas, and then the Crypto 101 getting started with crypto class at Homer's Coffee House in Overland Park the next day. So hopefully you guys can all meet us there. And Sean, you'll be there, right?
And happy birthday, Tom. I will
Oh,
try. I will try to be there.
and happy birthday, Tom, and happy birthday, Magic Mitch. So pretty
Happy
exciting.
birthday.
And Short the Banks. That's right, Nana.
Yesterday was my grandson's birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How old is he?
He is 3.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not there yet, but one of these days I'll have grandbabies.
Yes, you're not 3 yet. I know. You're a very smart 2-year-old. You are very smart. You're a big girl.
Yeah, we're all getting there, right? Oh man, don't give up though. I think it's going to all come down. We're all in the right places. We're all doing the right things. We're here to lift each other up. We're going to make a difference. We're all here to catch each other. I think it's going to be good in the end.
Mm.
Come on, Sean. You got to be in
Yes,
this with
I'm happy. I'm in the
This
group.
is your happy face?
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm in the group that I'm with. I'm happy. But I don't know. I just don't. I don't hold out the hope that things are going to get better. They're going to get worse and then get fixed.
They may have to get worse to get better. Like it may have to, it's like when you're spring cleaning, you have to pull out all the ugliness
Yeah.
first, you know. So we may have to see all the ugliness first. But to me, that's making progress.
But I
So when
think
I
I think
see
we'll have
stuff
to
like
call those show
Cuomo,
hoarders to come in. It's going to be that bad.
I think so. But when I
Yeah.
see Cuomo, like, for us all to know that he's a perv and that he's, killed the elderly by doing this shit for so long, and
Also, like that
all of
doesn't
this.
matter. That's infuriating. And that
Yes, but for
it
it to
just
drag out and there be no consequences, at least now, like it's starting to come out. Like there's starting to be some accountability.
it's like in a movie. Like you can kill 500 people, but you can't kill the dog. Or something. It's that ridiculousness
So
that
you brought up movies. How much of that do you think is because we've been so desensitized and brainwashed by Hollywood and all
mhm,
of that?
a lot,
A
and
lot.
but it's frustrating to see it, to see, hey, this guy, killed these people. What he did was criminal. It was not just negligent. It was. I mean, but it's so stupid that you can't say that it was an accident or it was negligent. It has to be like you knew what the hell you were doing. You had old people that voted for certain things that were a drain on your economy, and they were alive when they had a lot of freedoms. So they knew that, and you got rid of those people. And your mother, you made sure was not anywhere near that. And it's like there it all is, and people are like, "Yeah, it's pretty bad." But this guy, yeah, he
But they
pissed you
feel
off.
helpless. I think that's like my situation with the COVID testing. And I'm talking to these mothers and they're like, yeah, but they didn't ask us. What can we do about it? And I'm like, what can you do about it? You can jump up and down and
Yeah,
scream like hell and tell everybody and pull your kid out and not let hit them in their pocketbook. Don't let them get paid from the state for your kid, and don't make them stop. Make them pull it out of
Well,
there.
that's one of the reasons they hate DeSantis so much, and
Oh yeah, because he's
and now
pulling funding. If they make
Biden is
them
saying,
mask kids, he's
everyone's on
pulling
board,
funding.
everyone's good to go,
Yeah,
except for Texas and Florida.
yeah.
Florida's a pain in the ass, and they're because he at least Obama would talk shit about Texas. Obama would say Texas are nuts. He literally said people in Texas are
Yeah, I
crazy.
remember. He called him,
But
or was that Biden or Obama that called him Neanderthals?
no, but yeah, the Biden called the governor a Neanderthal. But
Okay.
Obama, because I don't know if y'all remember this, but I bring it up all the time. Um, our governor deployed Texas troops against federal troops, and because it was odd what Obama was doing. Um, what's it called? Jade Helm. It was the Jade Helm exercise, and a lot of people said, "Hey, all these WalMarts are closing, and this exercise is about pacifying American citizens." And troops were deployed to big cities all around the country, but they were mainly focused on certain southern states that were red. And this is before red and blue, that kind of thing. It was they were in zones like Hunger Games.
Is
Um,
this the Walmarts where they had the razor wire turned in?
yeah, and that the Walmart's closed, and then just for no reason. But this is all during that time, and then so they're all. This is like when the internet first blew up with, "Hey, this is a conspiracy," and but they were working with local law enforcement. Um, the military was working with local law enforcement, but they did it in Texas, and they took these Texas Rangers, and they saw things that were odd. They were cable cars with shackles, and there were all these weird things. And the Texas Rangers went straight to the governor and like, hey, there's cable cars with shackles. There's a lot of things that support what people are saying. So the governor went on TV. He was like, hey, there's weird stuff going on. These people aren't, and he said these are the exact words. He said, I'm the governor of Texas, and Texas citizens think something is weird. Texas law enforcement came to me and said, there's something weird. So we're going to deploy federal troops to shadow. We're going to deploy Texas troops to shadow all federal troops during this exercise, and they're going to report anything that they think is odd, and they're going to stop it. And then they stopped the exercise right then. They stopped everything. It was huge all across the United States, and Obama's like, they're crazy. They're crazy in Texas. But it was it was odd. There were odd things, and the governor said, "This is weird," and my citizens have questions about this, and law enforcement came to me and said this is weird, so we're not letting it happen. I'm gonna make sure that Texans are safe, and that was a huge thing. That was a huge thing, and nobody talks about that. Jade Helm, you can look it up.
Interesting. Well, I know I've seen it and I've heard people talk about it, and I've seen some of the old WalMarts, and the razor wire is pointed in, and that's not to keep people out. You don't have
Yeah,
razor wire pointed in. So very interesting. Well, thank you so much for sticking with me, having another weird adventure with me.
yeah, it was fun.
It was always fun. We'll do this again. And thanks to everybody in the chat hanging with me, having more strange adventures here on the new normal. So we'll see
Next
you
week,
guys.
Amy's going to be here.
Amy will be back next week. Yeah, we're going to do kind of every week on, every week off for a little while, and then we'll see where we go from there. And I really appreciate you coming on Saturday. If you guys haven't seen the episode on Saturday, we did one called Good Grief that was Sean and Amy and I, and we talked about our experiences being angel parents. And I think we've got a lot more to unpack there
Yeah,
too.
I think that's a good once a month thing or something,
Yeah, I think
or
so.
whenever. Yeah.
Yeah, and there were some more people in the chat that we got to share some stuff with. So maybe we'll have some more conversation about that as well. So see you guys tomorrow.
Thanks for watching Magic Torch, everybody.
Yes.
Head over to my channel and subscribe. I'm just past 10,200, or no, 20,000,
awesome.
19,200. I'm trying to hit the 20. But appreciate y'all very much.
Definitely.
Appreciate you, Lisa.
Yes, I'm really grateful, even though I drive you nuts sending you articles and texting you nonstop.
Nah.
All right, you guys take care. We'll see you guys tomorrow with my buddy Public on Woo Woo Wednesday, and then join my Patreon. We will have some new coins with Jill Jardine and SL369 will be live Thursday evening. If you are a member of Patreon, and I have, I'll be announcing my giveaway for. We'll do a drawing for Patreon members for whatever month this is, August. It's some kind of hardware wallet. It's sitting over there on the table. I can't tell what it is, but I'll let you know this weekend. Take care, guys.